Coming to you from Star Studios in Denton, Texas, and Tom Collins Signs in Limerick, Ireland. This is Coffee with a Sign Painter, a podcast hosted by sign painter Sean Starr and Tom Collins. This groovy soundtrack was written and performed by Fergal Lawler of the Cranberries. Thanks, Fergal.
Mr. Tom.
Hey, Sean. How you doing, man?
Doing good. You know, I think every episode we've ever recorded starts exactly that way. It's really crummy, huh?
So let's try something different. We could try something different. We could try...
we need like a catchphrase.
Mr. Star.
We need like a catchphrase.
Need what?
A catchphrase, and we could have t-shirts and stuff.
Well, maybe your friends on the interweb might offer some cheesy catchphrases.
Yeah, maybe we'll do like...
Don't ask. Yeah?
We'll do like an Instagram post of asking for a cheesy catchphrase.
Well, be careful there, because you probably end up having one of the Dobell brothers giving you some smart...
Oh, man. You know, we've been doing that post off. I know you've been doing it, too, of posting the vintage pictures. That dude is brutal, man. Like, you post anything that he's seen before, and he just shreds it, man. Terrible. Shame on you, Chris.
Where does he get the stuff, though? Where does he get his... I
don't know.
I mean, it's like...
I don't know.
He's photoshopping it. I think it's Photoshop.
No, I don't know. I don't know where he's accessing. He's probably got like some secret mole in Australia who's leaking pictures we can't access here or something. Turkey. They're really good pictures, though.
They're so good, man. See the one today? There's a new one. There's another one there today, and it would make it. Oh, actually, no. That came from. It came from Providence.
Oh, yeah. He's posting some good ones too.
So, are they going through old magazines or sign crafts or something? Or
I don't know what he's doing. I have to
Signs of the Times, those things.
You know, when we tap into his source, he's going to have serious problems. Okay, so we are nearing the end of 2016. This is our final episode of 2016. What a long, strange trip it's been.
And this time last year, you weren't even doing the podcast.
That's true. I kind of went through a real bad funk, not knowing what to do, directionless, and then Tom Collins appeared in the mist of Ireland and said, Sean, let's do the podcast together internationally.
No, I didn't say that, Sean. I didn't say anything like that. That never happened, Sean.
It was more like me begging, please help me, Tom. I want to keep doing it. I'm a mess.
Maybe there was some telepathy involved where I kind of was hoping you would come back and do the podcast, because I really missed it. I never expected that you would want me involved in it in any way. Number one, and number two, that I would agree to it as well, and it's been fun. I have to say, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
thanks for asking me.
I think it has really increased the quality of the show.
You think?
I do, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people who are like, they really love the dynamic of you and I shooting our mouths off. So it's working.
Well, they should get out more, those people.
Yeah, no, they're certifiable, but you know, what are you going to do?
It's nice for them to do that. I mean, I'm terrified. To think that there's any kind of feedback anywhere in the world about anything I do. You know, if there was a TripAdvisor for sign painters, I would be terrified. I couldn't sleep at night. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how anyone in the restaurant business or in that world of service industry type of stuff, how they can tune out.
No, I totally agree. I don't think most sign painters and artists are wired for that level of criticism.
And sometimes it's fair enough. Sometimes there's something from it to be gained from it. But yeah, there can be a lot of mean-spirited stuff out. So I'm glad it hasn't seemed to have attracted, anything too negative.
Yeah, I have seen some posts on social media. There is an element of kind of like snarky snobbishness that I see occasionally, not from any of the established old guard as much as some of the new guys coming in, you know, a little bit of a turdy attitude, but whatever. You know, I don't freaking care. Like, battered and war scarred at this point in life as it is, like, get out of my body bag, as Kurt Vonnegut used to say.
Oh, Kurt Vonnegut, yeah. I love Kurt Vonnegut. Man, that's a blast in the past. I love reading his books. Slaughterhouse 5, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Slaughterhouse 5. Get out of my body bag. That's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, but when you walk a mile in someone's shoes for long enough, you there's all kinds of things you'll do differently. You know what I mean?
Life is challenging, man. Like, you know, there's all of the outside issues beyond what anyone's chosen to do for a living. You know, there's, you know, cancer and death and divorce and, you know, all the different crazy things that everybody has to at some point wade through. You know, life is hard enough. We don't need to, like, add to it with a bunch of snobby, snarky crap.
Yeah. But come here, just getting back to you, the podcast. What made you decide to want to go back and take another run at it?
You
after
know,
your break?
I think it was. I don't know. You know, there's so much on a daily basis that I think if you're in a trade like this that interests you, that interests nobody else, that, you know, knowing that there's a community of people out there globally that, like, gets, you know, that it's really exciting when you, like, figure out how to lay a piece of gold on glass the right way or whatever. Like, I don't know. It just makes you feel more connected and less crazy, knowing that there's some other geek out there that gets just as excited, you know. And that's why I love Simon Robinson, who we met out in Ireland, you know, last year with your thing out there. Is, you know, I see his posts and the things that, you know, he'll comment on, and he's always, even in just a few words, you get the excitement, the geeky excitement from him that he's, you know, he's been doing it as long as we have, I think, or close to it, and he still gets just as excited and geeked out, you know, about a little process or whatever. And I don't know, I guess that's it. Just want to stay in my community of geeks.
Yeah.
How about you? Why did you agree to do it?
Like, and maybe. Well, yeah, the same kind of thing. I used to love listening to those interviews and one with Simon and different people that you know, would have come across, and also the people who are kind of not quite in the profession but were kind of would cross over from time to time, like the designers or the architects and the various other creatives. You know, I just thought it was really interesting listening to other people talk about their work, and, you know, and also I could identify with a lot more than I thought I could, you know, when I thought I'd get into their stuff and I wouldn't be able to, you know, maybe relate to it as much. But I you know, we all have the same kind of challenges and, you know, struggles and little minor triumphs where we keep us going, and, you know, listening to stuff like that, it kind of was really good, and I missed it. So when you said, you know, you're doing it again, and would I chime in with you from here? And once I realised I didn't really have to do anything except kind of talk to you that time, and, you know, press record on a little mic thing that I got, and you know, I said and, you know, but definitely, just, you know, even the Cleveland thing, even though, you know, you had some issues with the sound recording and stuff, it was still really interesting that, you know, that was going on, and that was being podcast, and there's an opportunity to hear, you know, other people and their story and their background, and, you know, it's interesting to me, you know.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess we're probably on the same page, and it's just, you know, yeah. I don't have anything else to say. I think that's true.
But there's a lot of there's musicians and different people as well. I'd love us to talk to, and other people that you could like. There's already been a few people that have come into the studio that are sometimes they're passing, and I have my I'm there, my lights are on, my door is open. They come in with coffee and we're chatting, and after about an hour I realized, oh man, I wish I thought to kind of record this. This is great,
I know. I run into the same thing. I'll end up having these really interesting conversations with people. I'm like, why in the heck didn't I record that? That would be great.
Yeah.
But we're doing our part. We're doing our share, keeping the craft alive.
Well, look, we're neither of us are professional broadcasters. Well, maybe you are now more than me. To be fair to you, you've been doing it a lot longer than I have, and you're far more skilled.
I got no clue what I'm doing. I learned just enough to barely limp out an episode now and then, and that's it.
Well, answer me this then, Sean Sir. Have you ever sat down with 5 other people and recorded an hour and a half of quality audio, and then realised there was no SD card in the microphone? Tell me, have you been there? I don't think so. Yeah,
that mistake will probably never occur again. So view it as a learning curve.
That's true. So I've yet to announce that to everybody involved.
You just did. Tell them what you did, Tom.
Yeah. Well, oh God, I'm so embarrassed. I had an opportunity to meet with Jed Palmer, Vanessa Power, and Sean Glaspie, as well as Cormac, I can't think of his surname, but he's Mac Sign Painting is his Instagram name, and myself. And you were possibly maybe going to Skype in. That didn't happen, but we were also expecting maybe Noel Carney, who was from Wicklow, and he had been with us last year during the exhibition as well. So he didn't end up showing up, but we ended up having this kind of meeting in Dublin where I was trying to do an interview and Skype with you and all that kind of stuff, and it was facilitated by the very nice people in the Dean Hotel in Harcourt Street, and the reason I kind of reached out to them is because they're fans of hand-painted signs.
Okay.
I can't think too many hotels that have hand-painted signs, directional signs in the lobby, on the landings, in the corridors. Sending you here, there, and everywhere, all done by hand. And there's a bit of neon. There's other artwork on the walls. It's a cool place. So. And Nikki and myself had been there a few times, and they're very nice and they're very approachable. So I let them know we were going to be in town and we were going to try and meet up somewhere and have a chat, and would they be interested in giving us some space. And they were great. They gave us this enormous kind of conference room that was like something out of the war room in Dr. Strangelove. I kept expecting to see Peter Sellers, coming in, but it was just this enormous, gorgeous space, and they kept us going with all kinds of everything, and food and drink and everything, and they were fantastic. And unfortunately, when I got back and I, went to take all the audio from the recorder, I realized I had the wrong SD card in it. It was my son's SD card from a video game thing, and it was just I borrowed it from.
So tell me this: God. Did you not only not get the audio, but did you wipe out Seth's video game stuff?
No, I didn't actually. That was one thing. It just didn't. It just didn't record. So
okay.
I mean, oh God, it just ground open up and swallowed me, kind of, There you go.
Oh well.
That's what happened.
Oh well.
Yeah.
It's like misspelling a word on a painted sign earlier in your career. You'll never make the mistake again.
No. And you know what? I mean, like, you don't want to be the guy that people think is telling them a pack of lies so you can get a free lunch, and come in and use the facilities, and then at the end of it, there was nothing to show for it. But look, we got one or two nice pictures and posts, and we tagged them, and they were very nice, and they came back and forth with a few things, and beyond that, it was a bit of a
mention the hotel again. What was the hotel?
It was the Dean Hotel in Hardcourt Street in Dublin.
Well, there you go. You gave them an international plug to an audience of 12, so.
In Alaska.
Yeah. So for anyone who listens to the show a lot, like a big part of the show is music, probably bigger than sign painting, which, whatever. What has been some new discoveries this year for you?
Well, actually this morning, before I go there, I want to tell you that, go out of my head if I don't. Elbow are playing some dates in Ireland in February. February in Dublin, and in I think it's March in Cork. So I got tickets for the three of us, Nick, Seth, and myself, to go and see them in Cork, and so delighted about that. And they're a great band. If anyone is interested in checking them out, they're a really good band. But new stuff. I discovered Spotify this year, really, and I got sort of my head turned by that. And unfortunately, I haven't kind of gone near a bit of vinyl or a CD since.
That's why the music industry's imploding, but I do it too. Everyone does it. That's why it's falling apart.
Well, it's just like whatever obscure, track, B-side, whatever it is you're looking for that you've never been able to get, suddenly you can have it now. Yeah. In a way that's great, but it's also, in a way, it's really sad, because the search that keeps you kind of going into these kind of these market stalls, these record stalls, these bookstores, looking for that book or that album you've been trying to get forever, that kind of keeps you kind of discovering other things that you weren't really looking for. You know what I mean?
I know.
That's gone now.
It's sad, because there's so much of the whole process of exploring and discovering that's gone now, because everything is just massively available, which is probably good in some ways, but I do miss that. I miss, who was I talking about this with? Can't remember. Oh, I think Dave from Triple Threat Press, because he worked in a record store right here across from our studio. And we were talking about, there's a record store in San Antonio, Hog Wild Records, that I think is still open down there. But when we were teenagers, like, they're the ones who were in the know. And so, like, if a new Smiths record came out, or if some, band you'd never heard of from the UK had just come out or whatever, you could not only find it there, but, they had like these real cool cats that would tell you, hey, check this out. Or they'd have stuff playing, now playing, with the record on the wall, and you'd be like, what is this? This is amazing. So that kind of stuff, I do miss that hugely, is just that ability to discover that is now kind of gone. I mean, even with sign painting, now, I mean, you can go do a Google image search and find, a reference for anything. And it was always like a magical thing to me when you had a rare opportunity to like meet somebody else and look through their like old crusty coffee stained portfolio and go, whoa, wait a minute, how in the world did you do that? All of that discovery is gone now. That's a bummer.
It is, it is. Well, I suppose that's the way it is, isn't it? You kind of have to take the crunchy with the smooth, and so it's not. But I find that
is that like an Irish kind of peanut butter reference or something? What, no, crunchy and the smooth.
Exactly.
Is that what is that?
I kind of made that one up, I think. But but certainly when I go into a cafe or into a coffee shop and it's there's some good music, it'll be there. I'll hear it. You know what I mean? More than on the radio. I never listen to the radio.
Yeah, I mean,
ever. I mean, there is a classical radio station I found myself listening to this morning actually, and there was some lovely stuff on it. But it's when I'm in a place like that I can I'm exposed to kind of new music, and I found another really cool cafe near the studio called Stormy Teacup, and the guy that runs it is a drummer in a local band. He's only like 21. His name is Adam. He's a really nice guy. And the place is full of kind of sort of teenagers and early 20s, and I'm like the granddad inside of the place, so I just go in and get my coffee and leave quickly. But I met a really nice guy there the other day who was as old as me, and we had a good chat, a good catch up. And he's a playwright and a theatre actor, that I know, and he's based in Dublin now, and he's doing well. He writes for TV and other things as well. And we were talking about, kind of. Actually, one of the things we were talking about is one of his favourite bars recently was overhauled by new owners, and the bar, it was a very literary kind of hub for the thespian crowd in the city, and it was recently purchased by I believe a very nice guy whose background is in sports, So he the thing this bar was famous for is it didn't have a TV, so you weren't distracted by a screen going, and you could have a drink and maybe a discussion. A lot of poets and writers used to congregate there, and now it has more than one TV. Now, to be fair, the TV isn't on all the time. It's only if there's a sort of a sporting event. Yeah. Exactly. But you still can't take your eyes off the screen, even when it's not on. It's there like a kind of a black hole in the room.
Sucking your soul while you drink.
Sucking your soul, that kind of thing. But there was, in fairness, like a lot of the old photographs of the older poets and writers that would have frequented the place over many, many generations who are no longer with us. Their pictures had been on the wall, and they were quite randomly kind of, thrown around the place in a very higgledy-piggledy manner. And since it's reopened, they've been retained. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them have been retained, but organised and ordered in a very symmetrical, grid-like kind of area that's been, they've been given an allocated area that they can have that area, And my friend was telling me how he misses the whole kind of the bonkers higgledy-piggledy randomness of the way it used to be, and how we everything is again. You can go onto Pinterest and onto these kind of onto Google, and you can kind of see every bar or every interior trick in the book in the instant, and have a bit of that, have a bit of, the whole thing then becomes very slick, like a place you saw in Manhattan, cool, and then suddenly it doesn't look like higgledy-piggledy Limerick anymore. It's like kind of half Manhattan, half I don't know what, London kind of vibe,
Yeah.
But that's the way things are evolving.
I think we've talked about this before. I don't know if you have access to it out there, but on Netflix here in the U.S., there's a documentary called The Irish Pub, where they go to, like...
Yes, indeed, I have seen it.
Okay. And the one lady was talking about that in her place, like, they eventually stopped, like, decades ago, like, cleaning anything, because, like, they took it all down and, like, they couldn't get it all back in the same place, all back in place. They always ended up with too much, so they just left it alone. But, yeah, I mean, that's... There is a certain level of contrived that comes with having this much information accessible.
There is, and sometimes I don't help by adding to it, because I'll do a bit of that. I mean, if I'm in a place and sometimes I do those jobs. Sometimes I put on that hat of doing an interior design job for a bar, and depending on what the client is asking for, and I'll have to try and kind of work with managing their expectations, and sometimes I'll have to do some of that type of work, and sometimes it sort of works out, and sometimes you can see it looks a bit too organized and too measured, and like that particular documentary you're talking about, the Irish pub. We'll never really see the like of those bars ever again after this generation, because they can't keep going. They can't really survive. In the economic climate that we have now, where it's all, like you said, a numbers game, and it's these bars that are doing shots and doing lots of them, and sports bars, all this kind of thing is still driving the industry now, and you can every now and again you'll get a bar that tries to recreate that, but also still caters for the sports crowd and the shop kind of crowd, so they're not really, it's not the real thing,
We've kind of got a similar type thing here in Texas with barbecue. Is the old kind of roadside hole-in-the-wall barbecue places that made Texas barbecue kind of famous. As those people are old and retiring or dying off or whatever, there's really not enough of a business model there to keep it going for whoever takes over. It just turns into kind of a cartoon version of the original, but with a bunch of other stuff added.
And we helped it to a large extent. We try to do it with some degree of authenticity, but there's other things you can control that, and before you know it, you've been involved in helping that kind of whole thing. I don't know.
We all participate.
Not quite lose its way.
Yeah.
We do, and look, in an ideal world, you could only pick and choose the kind of work that really you want to do. But look, we all have to pay our bills on time, and sometimes people are right, and to insist on it a certain way because they've got staff that need jobs that.
Right.
Need an income and a livelihood out of it, and tastes and trends change, and you have to adapt with that to some extent. You can't be completely, kind of stuck in the mud.
What? You've got a valid point, and that's why I think we should get rid of all of our paints and order these new machines that cut this really cool vinyl.
Yeah. Well, look, come here. Do you believe
your
that
point
you can hop between? But do you think, though, that you can hop between, that you can wear all those hats, in any way that kind of makes sense? Or do you think it's one or the other?
I honestly, having been on both sides of that fence and having merged the two in different periods for survival, I don't think you can do both. Because I think that you either stay true to tradition and constantly try to improve that tradition and your own skills with it, or you invest your energy in technology and the latest cutting edge type things like that, but I don't think you can really split the two from my experience, because your skills stagnate if you do, because you're just doing enough to get it out the door.
Yeah. No, I think you're right about that. I look certainly as a sole trader or as a one-man show type operation. I look at let's say those guys in Chicago, the Sure Signs.
Right way.
Sure Signs.
Right way.
Right way signs. Yeah. Sorry, and the fact that there's a dad, still doing the hand painted glass work, gilded work, all that kind of stuff. And then there's a whole other team that do the other fabricated digital work, you know. And they all, maybe there's enough of them that they can kind of hop between each other and what's right for the job and keep the customers. I mean, that's one of the things I've always struggled with. When people wanted something that I couldn't provide, I was losing the customer.
Yeah.
Right. And I had this thing for a few years where, coupled with a fall off a ladder and having an injury and not earning at all, and trying to kind of still earn, and looking at, less and less and less of demand for the kind of work I really wanted to do, and that I was doing a lot of up to that time. I had to adapt, and I had to go into other areas that
Well, that's survival. That's different.
Yeah. Absolutely, and the thing is, I don't regret it, because I did survive, and I picked up some little tricks of the trade and tools that helped me to get some of the work out a little bit faster from time to time, I don't regret that. But I find sometimes though it can be difficult to kind of tune into quick, fast stuff, like those kind of, when people come in looking for banners and different things like that. I don't do those things, and those kind of fasts. I need something yesterday. Kind of, I just can't react quickly, because sometimes I'm really invested and concentrating and trying to get other stuff that's slow burning kind of project out, that which isn't actually always kind of generating enough cash flow a lot of the time.
Yeah, but that's what I'm talking about. Not being able to do both is, when you take the mental energy away from, really improving on the craft to, I'll just take 2 straight days of churning this stuff out, make some money for the bills, and then I'll go back. It's like, once your focus has been chopped up like that, I don't know. I've gone back
you're right.
through the years, because I know that financially we'd be in much better condition if I did diversify and hire some people to just handle the typical plasticky kind of signage, and could probably get plenty of that work. But I mean, what do you do? It's like at some point, if your focus is too diverted, then the quality of the old craftsmanship stuff starts to dissipate, and then what are you left with? Because when I committed fully to just focusing on paint, my skill level incrementally increased with each job rapidly, versus at the times that I was trying to do vinyl or digital, or even, some of the monumental signage and all of that kind of stuff, where you're having the letters fabricated out of metal and everything. I saw the difference dramatically in my skill level. So I don't know. We're all ridiculous, I suppose, in a way, because there's people next to us that are doing far better financially, who've chosen more mainstream routes, and people like you and I continue to, scrape and struggle, but we're also getting to do work that makes us happy.
That's true. I think that's a lot of the time that's enough that it keeps you going and makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. So, and in the end, like, what are you left with? I mean, you have a fancier car. I mean, what does it really translate to? I don't know.
Well, I suppose, look, I was going to talk to sister this morning about this. She works as an interior designer, and I think she was kind of saying, all the ambition all the time is to get to a place where you can be financially sort of independent, and you have security in the future, and but like. That in a way, it really is. We've always been able to kind of. No, I've never been able to get long-term financial security. Kind of where I can predict what I'm going to be earning this time next year. I just can't do it.
Right.
I've had to create nonsense for business loans and for different things over the years that were completely just made up ridiculous. And the worst thing you can do is begin to believe them, you know.
Yeah.
And I've some friends who kind of tell me, you know, what they were doing last year based on what they're doing this year and this month versus that month. You know, I prefer not to know. I mean, ignorance is bliss as far as I'm concerned. I just want to know I can afford something and I can buy it, or else I can't, and I'm just going to have to batten down the hatches for a bit till I can.
Yeah.
You know, if I keep looking at those kind of figures and pie charts and graphs, I really can't. I can't get out of bed in the morning. You know, I have to try and kind of put that out of my mind.
And you know, I think what it is what you and I are talking about is like a living wage working in a craft versus what Hollywood has presented of, you know, people having like these upwardly mobile careers and their investments and all of this different stuff. I mean, realistically, if you're working in a trade, you're going to have a subsistence living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that,
yeah.
And I think that if you can accept that and then just look at, well, I'll make enough money to get by to the next month, hopefully. And if I can do that, then the month that I'm in, like, what am I experiencing and what am I doing to improve what I do? You know?
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of changing focus.
It is. You're right. It's in our own minds and in our own hands that we can choose to kind of get all, you know, caught up in that whole anxiety of this illusion that you need to have, you know, all your you need to, you know, be able to see around every corner possible and have all these things in place, and that's not really how my life has ever worked. My life has always been a bit kind of, you know, and take me as you find me, and, you know, something it runs its course, well then something else comes into my life that takes my life and maybe my work and my career, my business in another direction, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
the only thing
so I've always kind of gone that way.
The only thing I've found consistent is whenever I've made a little bit more money than normal, some other bill comes up that was unexpected that takes that all away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Or someone hasn't cashed the check that you gave them 3 months ago.
Exactly.
And suddenly they cash it. Yeah.
Cole.
Which I found out this morning.
Cole has done that to me so many times where I'll have paid him on several jobs or whatever, and then he'll text me and be like, you know, well, now he'll text me because he's done it before, and I'm like, well, I didn't know. But he'll go cash all the checks from me paying him. But sometimes it's a week or two later, and I'm like, oh my God, I thought you already did that, and now the money's gone.
Yeah. I know, it's terrible. Oh, yeah. Well, look, it's just one of those things. You kind of, you know, none of us can really predict the future, and you just have to hope for the best. And look, you know, one thing about this Christmas window project I did was that, you know, like worst case scenario, you know, if everything, you know, if tomorrow I never did if the phone didn't ring and I never got another sign job, you know, I could always do something else. I can always turn my hand to other things. Yeah. You know, over the years I've done loads of different things, and you know, I have to stop worrying about, you know, you know, trying to have all this kind of stuff all sewn up and organized, and it's just not the way life is.
And it's never going to happen for people like you and I. We're never going to dial it in. It's not who we are. It's not how we function.
I don't think so. I don't think you could do this. No, it's not. And I suppose if you are listening and you don't get it, well, you listen. You're doing the right thing, doing what you're doing, you know. And if you do get it, then you're in the same boat. You know the struggle of it. But you also know that when a thing does come together and you do get it, like at the moment, I think things aren't too bad for both of us, and we're getting enough work through the business, and it's you know, it's stimulating work, and it's without any huge sort of kind of compromises, and you know, so it's good. It's not always doom and gloom, you know.
Yeah.
And maybe the podcast thing for me as well, part of agreeing to it is I wanted to kind of maybe, you know, chime in with you and spread a positive message about being, you know, a self-employed sole trader, you know, one-man band. You know, you can put food on the table. It mightn't be a huge feast every night, you know, but it'll be, yeah, that's not too bad. And, you know, so I think that's what we're kind of announcing to the world, isn't it? You know?
I think it is.
Or not?
I think it is. It's like, you know, we have like these highlight moments that kind of like get you through some of the struggles. I mean, going out to Ireland and working on that project together and meeting all the people that we did. And I mean, how awesome is that?
Absolutely. I mean, when Sean Glaspie was here last month or the month before, he went down to visit the trade school I went to in Cork. Mm-hmm. They had literally just started a new course, and I rang ahead, made sure they were there. It was okay for him to go down, and he didn't come down empty-handed. He brought down some leftover paint from the job he was working on, you know, as a donation to the trade school, and so they got gallons of, is it Ronan paint?
The bulletin paint,
which I'd never. That's it, yeah. Which I'd never used before. It's great stuff to work with. I did a job last week with a gallon that he gave me, but you know, the fact that he was coming in to say hello to them, and I know the way they operate down there. When someone like that walks in, they're just going to get the students to come around, gather around, just get them talking. And then the next thing you know, you look around and they've all, like the instructors have left, you know. So it's just you and students, and so that happened. But I thought it would be really good for the students to you know, who are starting this course, maybe not like me, thinking that there'd be much out of it, like if I got to hold some guy's ladder for him or something, you know. That'd be cool. You know, that was where my head was at. And you know, at 24 or something, and here's this guy who's 27 from California, who's flown into Dublin, working a project with a gang of other sign painters, who's paid really well, I believe, and you know, had this incredible experience to be flown into another country to work on a project. And you know, you'd have to be a block of wood not to kind of get inspired from that if you were those people absolutely. On that course. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. You see the sky is the limit potential. You know, it's awesome.
Yeah. So there you go. You just don't know what's around the corner, and you and I have been, you know, we've been on the edge a couple of times, but you know what? We're still here, and it's still worth showing up for work for. You know.
Yeah,
I think.
For sure. It's, you know, I think most of the big challenges are the challenges related to other aspects of being a human being. You know, this has always kind of provided the safe haven from the craziness. So. Yeah, it's good stuff. So we're heading into 2017. Like, I don't know about you, but I get very introspective this time of year every year, where I just start thinking about like where the year has gone and things that like I've wanted to work on or improve, or new directions or whatever. So like, what's Tom Collins going to be working on next year? Like, what are you going to be focused on? Or haven't you thought about that?
I have. I've tried to, you know, I've tried to kind of really look at how I want to, I suppose, what I want to do with the business, with my, I hate using the word brand and branding, and I you know, but you know what I mean. I kind of feel like I need to overhaul all of that for myself as well. But you know, and I have this bonkers idea of what I want to do with that, which you know, I've been kind of sitting with that for a while, and I kind of still like the bonkers idea I have.
I saw what you sent me. I actually think it's really cool.
Oh, do you like it? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's fun and playful. It's bold, and I think it's cool. I think you should go that direction.
Oh, okay. Well, man, thank you. No, listen, I really appreciate that. So there's, and again, it's just around the site and different things. I'll take some time maybe to try and do lots of housekeeping type things like that.
Yeah.
And the studio as well, organize that a bit better. And but yeah, like projects wise, it'd be great to get our Ghost sign to its final resting place in the concert hall. Have you and Kaylee over at some stage would be great, and to see you guys again. And we're just trying to kind of have a life where it's a bit more of a work-life balance, where I'm not coming home sort of distracted and exhausted all the time from work, and that I can kind of do what I need to do, keep people out of the studio that are maybe that are too problematic to be kind of putting up with. Yeah. That I let in too far too often, and then I'm kind of carrying them for a period of time, and it's just no good for anybody. So I'm trying to identify who I want to spend time with and working well with, and who I don't, and sticking to my guns a bit more and saying no and meaning it, and not allowing myself to be kind of corralled into those kind of projects for those kind of people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good goal. Minimize the headaches.
Yeah, but it's just every now and again, then a bunch of things don't go according to plan, and you're kind of going, oh no, I'm going to have to go back and speak to all those people you don't want to speak to. Right. Just to kind of have some kind of cash flow go through, and then if you kind of hang in there a little bit longer, things kind of work themselves out, and then so I'm at the moment I feel like I've dodged a bullet, because I've just about stopped myself going backwards with my New Year resolution. Okay. Before the new year. What about you, man?
Gold on glass.
Cool.
Done it for years. I have secretly, behind the scenes, been trying to master certain things here in the studio that I feel like I'm finally getting a handle on. Stuff that I haven't even done for clients yet, and stuff I haven't posted, just really trying to, I think there's so much about what we do that we kind of learn as we go in some areas,
Completely, absolutely, yeah.
But there's certain things with glass and gold that I didn't want to do that on. I really wanted to have it dialed in before I put it out there and offered it. And I feel like I'm there, and so my focus all of next year is going to be on kind of merging gold on glass, sign painting, and my original artwork all into one thing.
Great. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd probably flop, but going to try it. But we've opened a gallery in Dallas, in the Dallas Design District, so we're pretty stoked about that. We're still renovating, but going to be opening that early spring. And that's going to house a lot of this same glass work that I'm talking about, and some of the other original artwork. And we've had a few really crazy, awesome opportunities surface over the last 2 months, and we've taken them and running with them, and just see where it leads.
And Japan, this opportunity to possibly go to Japan, that's incredible.
And I'm still, it's going through the phase of them discussing it with the director and stuff, but it looks like we could possibly be flown out to Japan at the end of January to be in a commercial and do some other stuff out there. So to see what happens, it's pretty awesome, but I don't want to lose sleep over it. If it happens, it happens.
Yeah. You see, you just don't know what's around the corner, do you?
Yeah, and that's that's kind of exciting and good. I think when I was younger, I was always anxious. I think when you're young, you kind of you're trying to push and try to see where things are going to go and push that direction. And the older I get, the more I've learned to just, the more you can just go with the flow and just, like, wherever things lead, follow that. I think the better you do, and the more fun and enjoyable it is. So.
Well, look, in the spirit of that, hopefully we'll both end up, meeting up again, in person.
We will, my friend. We will, great. For sure.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed, and look, and sometimes those things need a gentle little push to just kind of, encourage them along a little bit. But so I can't but keep kind of pushing it a little bit just to see, if we can get there in the end. Another big, ambition of mine would be that we can get our short film finished, that the guys who we can't have been working on for quite some time now, and we are, we're at a point in the new year where that story is going to be relevant again, where the Ghost Line will be, moving to its final resting place in the concert hall.
So that's all the film footage that they took when we were all out there doing the project and the gallery exhibition and all that? Is that the one?
Yeah, and I mean, they had this quite an elaborate stop motion idea that was, really what kind of, almost kind of brought it to a standstill, because it was almost too elaborate and time consuming to kind of quickly, kind of churn out. And I guess, look, in fairness to them, to be fair to them, they put a lot of time into that project, and then I guess they had other commitments that they had to take care of. And we're now at a point where we're talking again with them. I think you may be doing some work on your end, possibly with an idea they have to merge some storefront of yours in Texas that maybe will line up with some work I've done here and kind of somehow blend them together, where there's this kind of this international feel to it. And so we've 3 great soundtracks from Fergal Lawler, which we hope that will be used on that, and possibly a narrative that will knit the whole thing together. So it'll kind of make sense now that it's, still a project that's sort of live, if you like, because of the Ghost Line is moving. So yeah, that'll be something that, for me, it would be great to see, because I kind of had a lot of people come on board, like through the hotelier industry and the hospitality industry, when they knew that there was some filming going on, that they got quite excited and supported the project because of that. So it'd be great to kind of have an end product for them. Sure. And there's a theatre in town that is now doing that are now showing films. So we might speak to them about having a little premiere there as a short film before a feature film or something. So it'd be nice to kind of have, to feel like that the whole city kind of could enjoy it and feel that they're part of it.
Absolutely, yeah, super exciting.
So we'll see. A lot of it is very ambitious, but hopefully we'll get there in the end.
All right, my Irish friend. I know they're about to boot you out of that Apple store, so.
They are. Yeah. They're turning off the lights.
All right, I'll let you go, and
okay, man.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, Sean Starr.
Okay, Hepcats. This is the part of the show where we play a song from the Arhoolie archive, so pay attention. You can get these tunes from the legendary Arhoolie Records at arhoolie.com. Now sit back, open up some One Shot, crank up the volume, and expand your minds, babies.
So here's Jenny to sing Long Lost Lover Blues.
Would an airplane, I would fly to the heavens above. I wish I had wings like a little bluebird. I would fly to the one that I love. In the sand, bathe all day in that tropical sun. Maybe there I will find my sweet man. Oh, I wish I had wings like an airplane. I would fly to the heavens above. And I wish I had wings like a little blue bird. I would fly to the one that I love. Oh, 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 reminds me of my long lost lover. I wish I had wings like an airplane. I would fly to the heavens above. And I wish I had wings like a little bluebird. I would fly to the one that I love. Oh, 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 oh,
Thanks for listening, folks. Tune in next episode for more madness from Sean and Tom. This episode was brought to you by Full City Rooster Coffee Roasters, makers of the Sign Painters Blend, the coffee Sean and Tom drink in their studios every day. Also brought to you by RevelRouserHotRods.com. Licensed apparel by Sean Starr, including support your local sign painter gear.